It's Friday night in downtown Winnipeg. The office towers are empty. Big business has called it quits for another week. But down on the streets, smaller businesses are getting ready for the hottest commercial battle in town, the battle for your entertainment dollar. There's something for everyone, but nowhere is the competition as fierce as in the nightclub business. Clubs like these serve up the latest hits for their patrons to dance to. Call them discos, singles bars, whatever. They're all in the business of selling fun. But owning one of these clubs can be no fun at all, for their lifespan is sometimes shorter than the hits they play. In 1980, Winnipeg had 9 licensed cabarets. Right now, there are 10. But over the last 4 years, 7 new clubs have opened and 6 have closed. In the last year alone, 2 have closed and 4 have opened. And that's just cabarets. There are also licensed lounges that look like cabarets and cabarets that have restaurants attached and therefore aren't registered as cabarets. And if you think that's confusing, spare a thought for those owners. Long after the last customer's gone home, they're backstage trying to figure out if they're still in business. So why do it? Oscar Grubert is one of Canada's leading restaurateurs. He's also invested in nightclubs and lost money.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It's one of the riskiest businesses, but there are a lot of people out there. Someone once said there's a sucker born every moment.
But suckers or not, there is a certain lure for the investor behind all those bright lights.
It's like the ultimate adult toy.
That's right. So there's something there that's an attraction that attracts them and they feel they can do their own thing, and so they put their money in, and a lot of times they're life savings.
The problem is that those life savings are at the mercy of the customers, and nightclub customers are the most fickle in all free enterprise. Michael Fried is one of them, but his interest isn't strictly for pleasure. He's the author of Canada's only academic study on nightclubs, prepared for the University of Toronto's sociology department.
The sort of person that frequents a singles bar is probably an individual who is, in his or her mind, somewhat socially mobile, is professionally beginning to hit a certain stride of comfortability, has X amount of dollars for disposable income.
What are they looking for when they come to a nightclub?
To meet people. Yes, people do go to singles bars for the idea of perhaps finding a sexual partner. I also believe that more so is the case these days. The idea that somewhere in the back of their mind they might find that Mr. or Miss Right. Something where there's going to be a more permanent relationship.
And the environment for this is all important. Club managers know there has to be room for people to mill around. The music has to be loud, but not so loud that it kills conversation. The dark, smoky bar is out. You have to have enough light to see who you're getting. And there's more.
Success breeds on interaction. And a sparse crowd is not going to create a good image for the person on the street who's thinking about, well, maybe I'll go there. But a packed place is also not very good because you just can't do anything and there's just too many people.
All the clubs believe that they've got the equation just right, and they defend what they're doing often right up to the bitter end. But just obeying the rules isn't enough.
There's some strange chemistry in a restaurant or a club that makes it successful. It's the right feel.
Singles bars, nightclubs are very where it's at now for the person.
Brandy's used to be Winnipeg's top club. It was where it's at several years ago. Anything can happen in the nightclub business, and it may regain that status sometime in the future. But today, Brandy's is a club in decline.
There was a time if you weren't here at 7:30 in the evening, you weren't going to get in for a while. You're going to stand in line.
Right now, it seems like every month, a new bar open up, new bars open up. So people are just curious to, go out there and find out what the other people has to offer.
Mm-hmm. Do you expect to get your clientele back?
No doubt.
Do you think you'll get lineups as long as you had them before?
Well, maybe not, not like the big lineup, but I still, I think they'll come back.
Stephen Ho places a lot of faith in the loyalty of his customers. Oscar Grubert does not.
But I don't think clubs have a very loyal customer at all. I think that probably if you took a new club and put it next door to the most popular club in town and gave them something a little different you could clean that popular club out overnight.
Brandy's is not out of business. Roy Street Marble Club is not next door, but it is close by, and today it is Winnipeg's #1 club. And that's due in part to former Brandy's customers.
Where did you go before you came here?
Well, I would guess in Winnipeg, I would go to places like Brandy's and the Avenue, places that seem to have a lot of people going there at the time, but people seem to shift and come to this place. And I've met a lot more fun people here over the last, say, 6 months than I have at the other places, and I find myself coming here a lot more regularly.
And the Marble Club's general manager, Bruce Johnson, feels pretty secure at the top of his ladder.
We don't worry about what somebody else is going to do to knock us off, because everybody's taking aim at us. Basically, if we do the things that we're supposed to be doing, we do them properly. If we have the right staff, and we have the best staff in the city, there's no doubt about that. If we keep doing the things we're supposed to be doing and keeping on top of them, people will come back.
But there's a shadow hanging over Roy Street. A new club opened just after Christmas, Dayton's.
How quickly does a successful nightclub have to catch on?
Overnight.
Literally overnight.
We know in a nightclub you can tell the first week whether it'll be successful.
And Dayton's first weeks have seen crowds of 200 or 300 a night.
What do you think of this place?
Oh, I think it's definitely great. It's the place in Winnipeg. It's the most talked about nightclub. Compared to any other place, I don't know. I like it a lot better. Just the I guess just the atmosphere.
And how does manager Saint-Sidou intend to keep his club at such a peak?
We intend to keep getting feedback from our customers, finding out what they want, and hopefully being able to satisfy their needs.
But you also recognize that 6 months from now, somebody else could open up a bigger nightclub and put you out of business.
Oh, I recognize that. I think that when you're in this kind of business, there's always, it's not a question of being nervous, it's a question of being alert as to the market you're in, and to follow the trends and the changes, and to never underestimate your competition or your future competition in the same business.
And that future competition is likely to come from, of all people, Oscar Grubert, the man who said suckers invest in nightclubs.
We have a little fun with nightclubs, and but it's not something you'd want to bet your life on.
Oscar Grubert owns the Avenue. Last year it was one of Winnipeg's hottest clubs, but just a few weeks ago it closed. Now Grubert wants to reopen with a new look in March.
To tell you the truth, I didn't feel comfortable with the Avenue on the first night. I knew that there was something wrong with it. Even though and the first month, 2 months, 3 months, we were setting records, and I still knew that we were not satisfying the people. We knew they were coming because there wasn't a good alternative. I think you'll find perhaps a club that we're contemplating for the Avenue that will be more in keeping with what Winnipeg wants.
And so the nightclub wars rage on. The only winner is the customer. Always attracted by what's new, he or she flits from new bright lights to new bright lights, leaving a trail of disillusioned investors in his or her wake. Because there is no surefire way of guaranteeing success. In the quest to build a better mousetrap, all you get is new versions of the same old mousetrap.
Of the 7 or 8 clubs that are existing right now in the city, how many will be here next year, when you reckon?
50%.
For 24 hours, I'm John Drabble.